Before we get started with the meeting tonight, we are going to stand and say the pledge of allegiance. Andre, would you like to lead us off?
Thank you. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Oak River Area School Board meeting. It is Monday, November 13th, 2023 at 6 o'clock in the Susan Tully Leslie boardroom. I would like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Andre.
Here.
Mr. Gayhart.
Here.
Mr. Gatton.
Here.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Here.
Mrs. Costa.
Here.
Mrs. Reckles is excused. Mr. Scarrow.
Here.
Mr. Vargas.
Here.
And Mr. Forster.
Here.
We do have a quorum, and I would like to note that the meeting has been noticed for state statutes. Normally we would move on to community participation, but I'm understanding that you would like to
Yeah, I would, how do you want to
just
make a motion? Okay, so I move that we move the community participation after the Tibbetts Elementary student presentation for the evening only.
I'll take it.
It's been moved and seconded to move the community participation section to immediately after the Tibbetts Elementary student presentation. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre.
Yes.
Mr. Gayhart.
Yes.
Mr. Gatton.
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
Mr. Vargas.
Yes.
Mr. Forster.
Yes.
So, so that
It's all yours.
yeah, it's all yours.
They're coming in. They're gonna file in around behind.
Okay. You guys can move all the way around. Okay, so some are gonna come this way too.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Which way is this way? Don't step on our board together. Just watch the weather.
Can the fifth grade move over to the fan so we can get the rest of these kids in?
All right, as they're moving around, I'll introduce myself. I'm Brian Frost. I'm principal at Tibbetts Elementary, and it's my honor to share with you our Tibbetts choir, directed by Miss Joanne Sidepile. We're going to need her because they don't want me to direct. These kids have been coming in a couple times each week to practice, and last week we had our Veterans Day assembly on Thursday, and so they were a huge portion of that assembly. And I thought it was just somewhat unfortunate. We had a great turnout, both veterans and families, but somewhat unfortunate that if you didn't get to see it, they had only had that opportunity to perform one time. So this is definitely another chance to do so. And what's really exciting about the Tibbetts choir, it has continued to grow. We saw somewhat of a decline, obviously, with the COVID years, and we're back to nearly 60 students coming in those 2 days a week to practice and get ready to perform. So with that, Ms. Sidepile, anything I missed that you'd like to say? I know she's got a small voice tonight. So first song is going to be "We Won't Forget Our Veterans."
Could we really quick, because I want to make sure we get all the students in the video, could we have those students scooch to, because I know Mr. Truitt's in the video, so if you scoot over to behind Mr. Truitt, so the fifth grade scooch over, and then we need you guys to keep pushing around, or Mrs. Sidepile, we could have a group come in the front. Oh, here we go. Keep coming. 'Cause I know I'm in the video too. So if you get behind me, you're good. On down. There we go. And I'll try to jump. All right.
Thank you for inviting us. We're happy to do this for you.
Ready for me to hit go? All right.
So high, we will forget veterans, waving strong against the sky. We will forget veterans, the flag helps us remember those that served in the USA. 13 stripes and 50 stars are similar fields today. And blue and say we won't forget our white and blue and say we won't forget our Grandma's brothers, casted sons, we won't forget our veterans. Grandma's daughters, sisters, moms, we won't forget our veterans. The flag helps us remember those who have served in the USA. 13 stripes and 50 stars are similar freedoms today. We'll make the red, white, and blue and say, we won't forget our veterans. Make the red, white, and blue and say, we won't forget our veterans.
Second and final piece that we are planning on is the Veterans We're So Proud of You.
All right. Oh, we'll go back to that. All right.
And your courage, you fought brave. And we say we're proud.
At elementary level, we don't have lots of opportunities to do those extracurriculars at the school itself. So this is a really special group, and I'm proud of the work that they put in as Ms. Pyle. I know that the next performance they have is going to be at the Christmas parade downtown, as well as our holiday program, which is on the 13th, both at 9:15 in the morning and 11:15. So
I invite you to come if you can get out of your other work duties. You get to see the girls from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade, and it's really, in my opinion, I'm biased of course, but it's really something special.
any questions for the group?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, kids. That was awesome. Awesome. That was amazing. We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Be careful, watch your step.
Yes, good job, baby girl. All right. Good job, guys.
I've already felt it.
Good job. Okay. Let's see. I know. Okay. Good job.
Very glad we did that.
Very lovely. Take it easy. Good to see you as always.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ross. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good job. Good job. Now go to school. Good job, Ross. Okay. The next item on the agenda is community participation. Do we have anybody who would like to?
Oh, where do all your friends go?
No, I took a shower and everything. Good Lord. Mr. Gayheart, I missed a few meetings and barely recognized you.
So I'll just, I'm not gonna go through the reading of the whole thing, but just to remind you that you have 3 minutes.
Yes. So I came to celebrate with you. This is National Education Week, which was first celebrated in 1921. when communities across the United States decided to recognize the important roles that schools and staff play in student and community development. Today, more than ever, communities are called up to help our educational system succeed in their quest to inspire excellence in each and every child, regardless of family economic status, racial background, sexual orientation and identity, and disability status. National Education Week is not just about teachers. We celebrate paraprofessionals, bus drivers, kitchen staff, administration, and school board members. And I saw something on Twitter earlier, which made me decide to come to the meeting. This was posted from a teacher in New York. And I quote, "I wish more people knew how hard educators work. I wish more people knew how much educators care about their students. I wish more people realize that teachers and educators are human too. I wish more people realize that educators cry sometimes because how much they care." And I know I have. So thank you, and happy Educators Week. I was gonna bring a balloon and then I couldn't remember the allergy thing. So I was like,
Latex.
well, I thought it was latex, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't know.
That would have been a Yankee fan from New York too, by the way. You notice that was New York, not in Boston, that those nice words.
I know.
Just saying.
Watch it, buddy.
I'm just saying. Separation.
Is there anybody else who wanted to speak tonight? Okay, thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Seeing that there is none, then we will move on to the approval of the school board minutes. Does anybody have any comments or corrections that needed to be made? If none, then I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the minutes of the October 23rd, 2023 regular school board meeting as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
So moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the October 23rd, 2023 regular session school board meeting. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre,
Abstain.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mr. Gatton,
Abstain.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mrs. Costock,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Mr. Marcus,
Yes.
Mr. Forster.
Yes.
General and other fund bills.
The general and other fund bills cover checks number 150561 through 150723, wire transfers 410 through 419, ACH check numbers 248 through 321, and a combined amount of $1,446,491.64. There's a large bill listing, as we had a 3-weeker, is what we call that, 3 weeks between board meetings.
Yeah.
So tends to be a longer list. I put together a memo providing some additional detail on several of the bills in the board packet.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Truon?
I'm just curious what Milwaukee Pretzel Company is for $3,500.
Oh, that's a fundraiser.
It's a fundraiser
Oh.
that, I think that was for an Abbott group, if I remember.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
it said Avid on it. I was like, what the
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they did a
There's a
fundraiser.
couple of
That makes
fundraisers in there. There's a large
Yeah, there was
one, too,
another
for
one
Abbott.
too.
Yeah.
I think they're doing.
I do have some pretzels on the way, just.
Yeah. Pretzel bits, I know was one of the items. I think I bought a package of those.
I
Yeah.
mean, somehow we gotta get these kids to come to a school board meeting and sell stuff, because I never get hit up for any of that stuff.
Well, he shouldn't have said that.
I spent like $120 on Pringles from somebody who came to my door. I'm not kidding you.
Or just have them come to my office.
I've got enough cookie dough for about 2 years.
I love splitting that stuff. Okay, so if there's no questions for Mr. Truon, then we're looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the general and other fund bills of November 13, 2023, check number 150561 to 150723, wire numbers 410 to 419, ACH numbers 248 to 321, in the combined amount of $1,446,491.64 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's Been moved and seconded to approve the general and other fund bills of November 13th, 2023, check numbers 150561 to 150723, wire numbers 410 to 419, ACH numbers 248 to 321, in the combined amount of $1,446,491.64. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre,
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart,
Yes.
Mr. Gatton,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll,
Yes.
Mrs. Costa,
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow,
Yes.
Mr. Barkus,
Yes.
Mr. Forster.
Yes.
Great. The student representative report.
Yeah, I found it on my phone, so I'll just call you again. All right, picture on the left right there is FFA alumni representing Wisconsin at the National FFA Convention, competing in various activities. And EAHS has been named to the 2023 AP Honor Roll and is in the top 9% of schools that use AP testing for overall performance.
Do you know where the FFA convention is held?
I don't know where it was held.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis,
okay,
right,
got
yeah,
it.
it's always
Okay.
Indianapolis.
Sometimes they flip it to Louisville. I can't keep track of which, but they've done.
Okay.
But I want to mention too, with the advanced placement honor roll being in the top 9%, they also received a even rarer distinction of having been recognized for the access and opportunity, meaning they look at the demographics of students that are taking it, and for having that, what do you put it, excellent numbers in that area as far as the diversity of
Right.
types of students and backgrounds and everything taking the AP classes as well. Boys, girls, ratios, everything.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So only 1,300 schools nationwide got recognized with that. Sorry to interject. Go ahead.
On the far left, we have some students designing puzzle cubes in tech ed. The 7th and 8th graders performed a successful band concert, putting on a show for the audience. And the PTO is hosting a game night at the AHS on Friday, November 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. Admissions are free and concessions will be available. Jackson Elementary 2nd graders finished up their PLTW unit on pollination by using maple seed helicopters to show how seeds can be spread. That's the picture on the left right there. Kindergartners played hopscotch, working on beginning sounds and writing the letter to match the sound. And Jackson also had a great Veterans Day program because that's funny. 3rd grade social studies has been learning about the different types of maps, the importance of maps, and how to read them and their keys. Elkhorn Area School District Education Foundation is supporting Giving Tuesday on the 28th of November, and some of the math classes participated in an activity to try and be the hero and save Halloween by working through math problems with small groups. Tibbetts had an Oveus orange shirt day on Friday, and kindergartners used little witch fingers to help them work on reading. And the top 2 pictures in the picture on the far right are all different grades celebrating Halloween with different crafts and snacks and their own Halloween parties. Options students visited Busy Barn on a fun parent-led field trip. Family game night was a success 2 Fridays ago for all the families that came out and participated. And 5th grade academy students worked hard on their personal financial literacy unit. CCA student Elena won 1st place in the People's Choice Award at the Iron Faith Cook-Off. So we'd like to congratulate her on that great accomplishment. And we just like to put somewhere also that the Run for Randy is this Saturday.
Yeah, we have over 450 people signed up to run or walk in the Run for Randy. We're expecting to have over 500 by race day. So really exciting.
That's great. I think that'll be the biggest
Yep.
run ever in Elkhorn,
Yes.
I would suspect. Thank you very much.
Yes,
students.
thank you guys very much. Director's report,
All right.
Mr. Trotter.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Trotter, I'm the Director of School Work Opportunities. I wanted to kind of go through just what the fall has looked like a little bit, because it's been busy. I said to Mr. Tadlock today in a meeting that I feel like my high school principal days, it's been so busy, but the synergy in our community around partnerships and connecting kids to these authentic work and career and work-related experiences has been just amazing. It's just been amazing. It's interesting when you create the pathway for people and kind of clear the obstacles for them to connect on how eager they are to do so. So if you want to go to the next one. So as I'm going through this, I want you to think, we did a little activity today in our admin meeting, and I want you to think a little bit about what as an Elkhorn School District, what is our purpose? What's our core purpose? Why do we exist? When we think about like every decision we make, what is it driving towards? We have our mission on the wall behind us. But as you go through this, I just want to, as you start thinking about these experiences that kids are engaged in, how that connects to that mission. So the first thing I put up is just a list. And these are career-based learning experiences that our kids have participated and engaged in. And I'm going to clarify the difference between, and this comes from the Department of Public Instruction, what a career-based and what a work-based learning experience is. And basically, career-based learning and an education, you got to call them cables because you can't say the whole thing, right? We have to have more confusing acronyms. Okay, that was sarcasm. So anyways, I'm joking. So career-based learning experience. This is a list of all career-based learning experiences that kids have participated in from about the second or third week in September in our district until now.
So 2 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
So corporate contractors, Home Lumber, Arnell Springs, Wisconsin Oven, all 4 of those were connected to the Elkhorn Youth Build. Now there's more there that we'll get to. Build My Future. I got a call 2 years ago from Mike Dumas, the president and owner of Dumas Builders, and said, hey, what do you think? Lakeland Builders wants to do this super cool, like interactive career day at Gateway. Well, they did it once and they outgrew themselves. And then they went really, really big. And they held it at the Racine County Fairgrounds. It was a 2-day event. They saw over 1,000 kids from Racine, Kenosha, and Walworth County. It was impressive. I mean, just imagine kids literally operating mini excavators, kids, Stebnitz building sawhorses, somebody who had a concrete pump actually allowed the kids to use the remote and take the concrete pump through an obstacle course. All the kids thought it was gonna be super easy because they play video games until they realized that none of them could do it effectively. So there was just a variety of all those events of experiences for kids. And we took, day one, we took 8th grade students in a full bus. And then we took the high school kids on day 2. So it was an awesome experience. Literally experience the trades is something we've gone to the last 2 years, and now we're a member of the Waukesha County Business Alliance. They do an incredible job of creating opportunities for kids. Obviously, they have plenty of kids to do that. How many schools are in Waukesha County? But we take kids up there. We did it last year and this year, and this was grade 7, and there's about 40 to 50 vendors. And it's about manufacturing and building construction. And again, it's very engaging. So we took kids up to that. Deanna McClung and Michael Dolly took a group of 9 young ladies to UW Platteville Women in STEM Day. They said it was amazing up at Platteville. And in order to offset some of those costs, I reached out to my colleague, Michael Rick at Delavan. So we shared a bus on the way out. Yep, so that worked out pretty well. Yep. Then Waseda had manufacturing tours, which I do every October. This is kind of cool because we visited Continental Plastics and Swiss Tech, and we took primarily our SOFOs and students with disabilities to get them on a campus, start talking. And it was amazing to watch those kids when they first walked into Continental Plastic. By the time they left Swiss Tech, on how just their disposition changed about learning and purpose.
Yeah.
And like, wow, I could do this.
Yeah.
And both those employers, like all these employers, do a great job of really embracing our kids and just letting them know that there's opportunities here. Lynch Family Dealership, Jason got an email, I followed up, had an opportunity to go to Lynch in Burlington, visit their dealership, their truck center, and LDV, which is their limited Lynch differentiated, oh my goodness, differentiated, you know, it's an education term,
Got it.
vehicles.
Okay, got it.
Good gracious. And basically that started with the owner getting contacted by Snap-on to build Snap-on trucks. And then from there, then they started building bigger trucks. We walked up, they had one, it was super cool. Like, it was a really cool place. Like, imagine the biggest construction lab and woods lab you've ever seen. Like, you think ours is big, multiply it by like 10, because they're making everything from scratch. And it was just awesome. When we walked up, we pulled up and they had a Milwaukee Police Department, response vehicle, critical response vehicle, where there's like 20 cameras and TVs in it. I'm like, oh, that's gotta be pricey, right? He goes, well, what about the one, did you see the one next to it? I go, yeah. He goes, that's $500,000 more. And I said, well, who's buying that? He goes, that's the 6th one we've sold this year. I'm like, okay, who's buying it? Come on now. He's like an insurance company. And they use it for critical response in disasters. And they can literally run everything from there. It was so cool.
Wow.
But what was great about that visit is kids got to see the automotive side, the truck side, where the truck center, they're creating like tow trucks, large tow trucks. And then the LDV, where they're making these really cool vehicles, but it applies to every trade you can think of: welding, manufacturing, electrical, plumbing, cabinetry. So that was cool. Wausau Homes last week. I hope that went well.
Yes,
Thank you for opening up your business to us.
Yeah.
So the kids got to see a Wausau home being constructed and put together. That was awesome. That was through the youth build. Tomorrow we have a group going to MSOE Direct Supply from the middle school and high school, and that's specifically computer science driven. We set that up about 6 months ago. We're working with Paul Borens at MSOE, and the goal is to have Elkhorn alum who are MSOE students speak to our kids.
Nice.
Oh, very cool.
It's kind of cool. So, and then Waseda Manufacturing Tours, that would be Thursday. The high school is taking kids down there. So, and some Sophos kids. So those are career-based learning experiences that we've scheduled. Just a couple this fall. Keep going, Jason. Next slide, please. So work-based learning experiences are just what they say. I mean, we're getting kids to work, right? That would be your youth apprenticeship, your DPI co-ops. Those are your certified programs for just getting kids to work, period, where they're getting credit, all right? So one of the things that Mr. Dowling and I have been working on is really, and I put alignment, clarity, and coherence. And that's within and outside of our district. And I talked in the beginning about how we, removing some of those impediments and obstacles to make sure that we can partner easier. Part of this is creating some common language in Walworth County around how to partner, how we function, what is a youth apprenticeship, how easy it is to hire a kid. Can you hire kids? Are kids scary? Do they not? Can they do the work? So we've really spent a lot of time on working with not only our other county schools, our economic development organizations, and also our local businesses. And 2 years ago, we launched the Wisconsin Jobs Board. There's a link there. Jason, you don't need to click it. But that is we pay for that internally through our youth apprenticeship grant. And I've been working with other Walworth County schools to make sure that free service is open to every employer to post their entry-level positions. Okay. And why are we doing that? Because I don't know if you have an opening if you don't post it. The kids aren't going to Indeed, right? I mean, I know that sounds like really simple, but it's amazing on the opportunity and access kids have when you start doing that. And our goal is to have every Walworth County school using the same platform. So if you are Adams Power, you can just post one position and all schools are aware of it, versus 6 or 7 schools calling Adams Power and going, hey, you got any openings?
Yeah. Yep.
Right, it's just it's more of just a courtesy to the employers too, and it's a free service. And it's only entry-level positions, but there's entry-level positions on there that even young adults could take.
Yeah.
So that, we've been really working on that. We purchased a customer relationship management software called Job Ready, a CRM. And why did we do that? Because DWD is very antiquated with youth apprenticeship paperwork, and it's sign this. So if you have a student who's a YA, I would type this up on a Word document. I'd hand it to the student, who would then hand it to the parent, who would then hand it to the employer, who would then hand it to me, I would then hand it. And it's literally sign, bring it back, scan, email. I mean, so we went to this it's $1,500 for the year, and it made everything fluid. We uploaded all our employers. It's literally fill it in, digital certification, done. So it's great. And I don't think we even scratched the surface, but Mr. Dolly's a lot smarter than I am in this, and he did this in between Arrowhead and here. He worked for a company that made training videos and software and efficiency for John Deere and for Caterpillar. So this is his arena. Yeah. He basically is like, Chris, you take the handshake. I'll do this stuff. I'm like, okay, perfect. So and then we had Walworth County Schools. And there's talking about certified work-based learning experiences. Those are ones that are overseen. I just want to give you some numbers. Last year, according to Mr. Dolly, we had 55 in our district. And I checked our numbers too at the CCA and options. And this year, we're already at 57. And I'll get into the financial impact for the district later on, but there is some opportunity. That's not why we do it. And they're starting to happen as we really create this culture with the employers. It's just really starting to, Mike even said at the high school, he's like, I'm getting another wave of kids coming in just wanting to work and opening this up. And I don't think all kids understand that are certified work-based learning experience, you also get honors points too. So, if you're gonna play the Loudy game, there's a little perk. Some board members are laughing. And then there's non-certified work-based learning experiences. Those are things that we just do internally so kids can work. We're really trying to get those opportunities aligned. If you go to our school report card, it talks about how many work-based learning experiences our district has. We can turn any local experience, if a kid works 90 hours and completes an employability skill certificate, we can turn that into a certified work-based learning experience. So we can count in our school report card. Why am I telling you that? Because I would anticipate, if you look at the school report card, you're going to see a significant jump from this year to next year, just because we're making sure that process is available to kids.
Sure.
So I just always tell that for transparency purposes. And then strategic partnerships. This is kind of the most fun stuff, but also the most timely. We got that. We've talked a little about our Lake Lawn Resort partnership, where we had last year 5 students, primarily students with disabilities from CCA, who went to Lake Lawn and worked a rotation there for employment, got paid employment, and then 2 of those students became youth apprentices there and are still working independently. They are going through an internal remodel, about 200 rooms on their west side, I think. So they cut our program down to 3, so we just have 3 kids working in internships. Geneva National, we started that this year, 4 kids from the high school, one of our intellectual disability students working down at Geneva National. That we just got a notification they're going to pause that program just because it's winter. Right, So I mean, you can go clean golf carts, but no one's using them. So, but that's been a great program, and we're looking forward to keep that going, because again, what's our purpose? Our purpose is to, make sure every kid has an opportunity for a family living wage and employability skills. So let's make sure it all means all. And then just kind of happened as of 2 weeks ago, finalized a partnership with Aurora, that they're calling it the Clinical Assistant Internship Program. They're not really married to that nickname, they're working on it, but I met with the president and the head of HR, and they're going to take 4 kids next year for internships for 32 weeks in the healthcare field, rotate them through experiences with the idea of hiring them, and they're going to pay them $18 an hour.
Holy smokes.
So if you know anybody, this is gonna be coming up. Yeah, not bad, huh? Well,
I
they
got a couple ideas.
Well, so they're gonna work through like food service, they're gonna work through logistics, like shipping and receiving, they're gonna work through housekeeping, and then they're also gonna do some clinical work. Where they're with RNs, PT, kind of serve as a PT assistant. But yeah, usually you have to kind of advocate for the kids on the dollar amount. And when they said 18, I'm like, yeah, that sounds about market value. That makes sense. So it's a great opportunity. And then we started an Elkhorn Youth Build Advisory. Greg Ingersoll is a part of that. We have 2 members from the Lakeland Builders Association Executive Committee. We have local economic development people. Waseda, obviously, CUNIS, who's been great. We brought some of their key players over to our auto shop, and literally as they're walking out, we're like, we should have been here years ago. We're kind of embarrassed. Like, is that cool?
Yeah.
So now I think I just called them last week. Mr. Thorson, his last shop car is no longer working. So they were willing to donate a car or 2. So to be continued, and they did notify me that they have some equipment and supplies that they want to donate. So we'll see where that goes. And then we created the Walworth County Career Connected Learning Team. That's a long word for all the schools are getting together. And then I don't know if you saw it, but our youth build program became a pre-apprenticeship program from the DWD, Department of Workforce Development. That's pretty cool. There's only, I think, 2 active in the state of Wisconsin. It's pretty cool. And then we're gonna be hopefully launching an Elkhorn Area School District Career Technical Education Advisory Team soon. So, next slide. Just wanted to go through, these are some presentations that I've done the last couple months. We had a housing summit, for those of you who were there, that was great. Super informative, scary for my kids, like houses are expensive, like wow. It's just, so that went well. We had Oklahoma Association of Career Technical Education. How many superintendents, Jason? 50? 30?
I think 48 that came to visit us, but it was, others were at another location.
Yeah,
It was a
so
large group.
they did tours, and then I got to speak to them at the Snap-on International headquarters, which is a really cool place. They just redid that, and they have a museum. It's awesome. We did a presentation, a virtual presentation with anybody who's interested through Waseda to unlock the possibilities of your workforce, which is basically educating our employers about youth apprenticeships. So it was really well done. If you want to see it, you can go to their website. The video's on there. I'm presenting Thursday at ARC, and then Mr. Ansel and I are at the ASA Slate talking about the noon whistle. So busy. And then lastly,
I just want to mention the Oklahoma visit. Those where Oklahoma has a system where they have career and technical education high school, like satellites, where the students can go to that school during the day. But the challenge they're having is they don't interface well with their technical colleges or their community colleges. It's almost like a territorial thing. And so they were really intrigued. And the reason why they came to this area is Gateway is #1 in the state of Wisconsin, one of the leaders in the nation on the number of dual credit courses that high school students earn. And we're #1 in the Gateway footprint. So they came to look at that.
and in the state of Wisconsin.
And the state of
Yeah.
State of Wisconsin.
Right.
Right, so that's why they came, they wanted to see how we're interfacing. They were amazed at the number of transcripted courses, the fact that you mean your high school kids don't even have to leave the building to get, the credit. And so, yeah, it was a really good visit, interesting to learn and hear how their system is, and to see kind of that, envy that they had in relation to that higher level ed partnership that's established.
One interesting thing from that, piggybacking on what Jason said, was we were talking with them after we were on a panel with Riley Construction and Precision and some other players in Racine, Kenosha, Walworth County. And it was really interesting to hear them say that they do all their sports during the day.
Wow.
So they're like, where do we fit? Where do you guys fit this stuff in? We're like, what do you mean where do you fit this stuff? Yeah.
Because football takes.
We're like doing the scroll day. Yeah, we're like doing a school day. They're like, oh, they're looking at us like, well, that's interesting. And we're like, where do you do it? They're like, oh, we have a hard time fitting it in. I'm like, well, what are the kids taking? I'm like, football and sports. I go, during the day? Like, they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
Two of their class periods.
Yeah,
will
I
be
mean,
the weight training and the coaching.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. So, I mean, you know, I'm not
Julia's
casting
mom
these
says it all.
dispersions, but that's how you're just kind of like, what? And they even talked about it, how that differences was kind of interesting when people were talking. So just the other side is, I kind of wanted to talk just a little bit about the dollars that come in through career and technical education and through grants we've had. So just to give you a little idea, those are the 2 youth build grants that we've had since 2019, 2020. We had a community learning center grant. That's a 5-year grant that came last year. That's $80,000 per year for 400. We used our Lake Lawn for to get a $97,200 transition grant. And just so you know, those percentages in there, just to give you an example, and I'm one example, that's the percentage of salary that it pays for me and those dollar amounts. And I'm just one of them.
Right.
So those grants, that's real money going to offset costs of the CCA options and internally. So that just gives you a little idea. On the DPI transition grant, that 34, that's also part of that grant. So it's the youth build plus that. So I just wanted to give you, like, you know, we have the amount of synergy around those dollars and how that also, more importantly, aligns with the vision and the mission. They're just not dollars sitting out there that, oh, let's just write a grant. But it's really about how do we advance the work by offsetting some costs by writing a grant. And Kelly Demerath deserves a lot of credit, her and Katie James, for writing these. And I just have to chase down partners and try and make sure they sign documents and get them on board. But I mean, there's just a ton of stuff. And the youth build obviously speaks for itself. The CLC grant, that's what it's kind of called. That's for all after school and additional programming for kids at the CCA. And that also supports the Lake Lawn program.
Nice.
And then the deep transition grant, it helped us purchase another van for the high school, which supported Geneva National. So it's not like they're just happening in isolation.
Right.
Yeah, you might notice there's a number of vehicles in the parking lot that I don't think anybody really noticed till Emily. She's really proud of the fact that we got grants to pay for those, so she slapped the Elkhorn Area School District magnets on the side of them, but they're used for all these different programs and hauling kids around in different areas.
And when you create a culture of yes, that we're open for business and there's opportunities and people are engaged, what I love about all of these things is how many people stop me at economic development meetings or at Rotary or whatever and say, hey, how can we be a part of that? How can we donate? What can we do? Like I'm gonna be working with Habitat to try and find a lot for their next home.
Nice.
Well, it's not just me, it's Katie James who's like, I'm gonna go write a grant for Habitat and help them out and get to see if we can get them money. And then you got Chris Clapper from the chamber who's working on it. And then John Henderson's out and about and Rotary wants to donate. I mean, that's the kind of energy that's really happening around some of our programs. And I don't think just that 30-second little elevator speech can really do it justice. But and then just some other grant dollars, CT incentive grant. If you've ever heard anybody talk about Act 59 dollars, Act 59 is really the agreement between the state and DWD to reimburse students who earn certifications, which can be certified work-based learning experiences, so GPI co-op or youth apprenticeship, technical diplomas or associate's degrees. So when we announced that we're #1 in the state, that's good. Right? And then industry recognized certifications. And Act 59 is basically the agreement on here's how we're going to reimburse. And basically what happens is the state dedicates dollars and they send it over to, I think, DWD. And basically, however many kids get those certifications in the state, they divide that by the total number of dollars. They're talking about doubling that number.
Wow.
So it ranges for us for reimbursement from anywhere between 700 to 800 plus. The goal was 1,000, but they're talking about doubling that now,
Wow.
up to 2,000. So the governor's task force working with the Wisconsin Economic Development Council and the chambers is to double the number of kids earning YAs and industry certification. So those are the dollar amounts that we received. When you see a drop, usually that just means the state had more, right? Because if more kids get it, the less dollars you get. And then we also get reimbursed for our youth apprenticeship grant from Gateway Technical College oversees our grant, and then they give dollars back and forth. The maximum they can receive is about $1,100. We get about $600 back for a variety of costs that go up, but they're also talking about doubling that dollar amount for grant money. And then Carl Perkins, which is a federal grant that's been around since the 50s, we get about $26,000, and I just put the enrollment numbers, which you've seen. The fall 2023 shows the current enrollment of Sophos and CCA, and that's the number of open enrolled kids, and then you can see the same thing with options. That's 169. So I don't know the percentage, but that's a high percentage of kids that are open enrolled.
So of the 230 students, 121 are.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep. And then of the 283, 169 are open enrolled. And the great thing about the CCA is when people ask questions about like, oh, I saw that movie theater ad, oh, I saw that mailer, oh, I saw this. I usually get the text message, you know. That's all coming from the state charter school grant. So those are dollars well spent to tell our story. Questions? I went through as fast as I could. Anything? Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like there's just a phenomenal amount of work and energy, like you said, this energy that's just driving all of this, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, and if you want to see it in action, come to the high school where the school counselors of the high school have done an incredible job. High five to Shannon Wolferman and her team. Career fairs tomorrow, and I think we should have about 100 people there.
Yeah, Greg will be.
Yeah. So
When I've gone to conferences, when I've traveled with Ryan Albright to present at the national level, people ask, they're blown away with what we're able to offer. And the big distinguisher, the reason why we're able to do that is we were one of the first districts, or it was a rarity to have someone like Joanne Pella's position as a dedicated to that work, separate, full-time, that she could focus on that. When we expanded but her bandwidth was only so much as well. Expanding by creating the position that Chris is in, that school to work director, really helped increase that bandwidth and that capacity. But that's something that has really enabled us to be able to do that and interface with those partners and create those opportunities. So I want to congratulate, Chris for taking that by the reins and really expanding and growing that and facilitating that growth.
Well, I think employers have realized, especially post-COVID, especially in the state of Wisconsin, we're kind of tapped out. Like everybody who wants to work is working. And so where else are we going to get workers other than starting to train them at this, at the high school level, so that when they're ready to leave high school, they're ready to go. They're ready to enter the workforce and at full capacity.
to your point, Mike Reeder said at the signing day that for every job that's open, there's only 0.725 people for that position.
Less than one.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
One of the other
I don't know where he has
presenters
number,
that.
just tell me what he said, like, it could be.
And I think
Correct.
speaking to that, one of the other manufacturer owners that was at that presentation was a former Navy SEAL, I can't recall his name. He mentioned that, and he's basing his employer's recruitment and training process off of the military model. Meaning get them on board, get them in as employers, and we'll educate them, train them.
Yes.
Meaning, we'll send them to college, we'll send them to get the certifications while they're on the job doing it. That it doesn't need to go off to college and then come back. So I think you're gonna see a lot more of that within the industry partners. As they're just trying to compete, which is good for the kids in the sense that if you're looking at college savings and college costs and so forth. I think it's a big paradigm shift that we talked about at the admin meeting, because if you look at Americana film, movies, and culture, what is it? It's almost like this rite of passage, go off to the 4-year college to grow up, but it's, we have that strife going on.
Well, and
to your workplace and education.
To your point, this is kind of interesting. So had 2 kids in the last 2 years placed at Miller Motors in Burlington. And what they were willing to do is pay for those kids because they can't find diesel mechanics. So they're like, well, we have a Chrysler and a Ford dealership, so we'll pay for either one. Well, where are the training? The training's up in Mequon for both of them. I don't know why, but it's in Mequon, right? So they're willing to pay those kids to go get trained. I got a random email last week from Ford who says, how can we be a part of this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, you tell me, let's talk about it. So I have a meeting in, I think, a week and a half next week, I'm sorry, with the Ford Training Institute, who's gonna come down, wants to see our facility and talk to us about how they can direct, either enroll or how they can be a part of supporting our kids' training.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool,
Absolutely.
especially when you hear like CUNA say that they have mechanics making over $175,000.
Yep.
Yeah. So, questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet, thank you. Thank you. We're gonna be at a meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Do you have a financial stability committee update for us? No. Mr. Jordan.
I'll turn it over to Mr. Jordan, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Tadlock, either one.
Yeah, or we've got 2 board members, so.
That's true,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, we met last week, we're beginning to, I think, beginning to develop some recommendations as a committee.
Okay.
I think we've gone through the education piece, the learning piece, and talked about a number of different things, and we're trying to, I guess, tackle the challenge from both a revenue and an expense side. And try to come up with a palatable solution to present to the school board. We're on track, I think, to have a presentation for you on December 11th.
Okay.
And that, I think, is our goal at the moment. And we've got a meeting next week, and we have one then scheduled for November 4th. I don't know at the moment what that
December.
recommendation is gonna be.
Okay, December
Or
4th?
December 4th, yeah. So that gives us 2 meetings to kind of finalize our direction and our consensus, hopefully, with the committee process. So
All right.
that's where we're at. But
We'll be looking forward to that.
yeah, so I don't know, Devin and
Well,
Jason.
I mean, one of the things that I think we've all come to a conclusion of during the meeting is we're looking at focusing on just kind of like the outside perspective as much as we can, the top down perspective, and not giving specifics on, hey, we need to do that. It's more like, hey, we need to look at this area over here, or so we're not. I'm not saying it properly here. Basically, we're just not looking at it at saying, hey, we need to cut this or we need to do that. It's a little more nuanced than that, and I think it's going to be a good recommendation. I think a lot of people are on board with increasing revenue and also looking at some cuts as well. The revenue could come, I think, with the 2 routes that we're looking at is the increase of enrollment options was one of them, and the other one is a referendum. So those are the 2 pieces for that, and everything's on the board for the potential for cuts. It just depends on how things go, and where we're looking at.
And the feeling I was getting to is that they're not gonna come back to us and make a recommendation that, okay, we want you to do X, Y, and Z. Our expectation is we want to see the budget cut by this. And they're gonna leave that up to this board to decide how we get there.
It said it some more eloquently than I did. Where I was trying to go with it.
It's been a really good process. I think it's been educational for myself, and I think everybody that's been participating. You know, they critiqued what we did last time and are giving us some really good feedback on how we can really educate the public about this next referendum. Because I think that's going to be the consensus, is that they're going to make a recommendation, but it's going to be a combination of anticipated new revenues, these cuts that they're expecting us to continue to work on. And then a type of referendum where we're asking for monies in a staged approach
Okay.
to match what our specific needs are.
And really, the committee is really diverse in who is in there and their thought process of where they want to go with it. That really it's coming together where a lot of the people that voted no on the referendum last time are saying, hey, if we do some of this other stuff, I could see myself voting yes for it in the future. So I think it's a lot of people that were already on the fence or were not willing to vote for 4A now looking at it in a different light, based off of some of the stuff that we're looking at, some of the changes that we were looking at potentially for the referendum in the future, if there is one, stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't have anything to add. They summed it up perfect.
Okay. You're feeling good about it, Bill?
Yeah, I am. I worry in terms of the commitment of time for people to be part of these processes.
Right.
I think we've had 6 meetings and we'll end up with 8, but every meeting people
Yeah.
showed up and
Yeah.
they participated.
That's awesome.
I think most people felt comfortable sharing their opinions, which is really important. So far so good.
Great. Okay, personnel recommendations.
Here we have the personnel sheet there. I'm happy to answer any questions related to those as best as my ability.
You gave us an update via email today. Is that something with regard to the food service supervisor? Is that something you wanna
Yeah,
talk about? Or?
we're prepared to announce that at this meeting, and then we had it listed as a to be determined. Bill?
Or do we,
Yeah.
so at this point, are we leaving it as a to be determined?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other questions related to the personnel sheet?
No, I know Wes, Mr. Eckers, my kids are really excited to have him back at the high school. I mean, he's a middle school teacher and he's did a lot of the middle school wrestling stuff, and my kids have all been big into wrestling. So my older 2 boys are super excited to see him coming back, or at least to them anyways. So it's pretty cool.
I don't know how he's doing both right now, but I'm sure they're figuring that out because he is the wrestling the middle school coach as well. So, but the middle school season is really short.
Oh,
It's
okay.
in fact they only have 7 practices left.
And their first
5
meet is
meetings.
tonight, or was tonight.
This tonight. All right.
Okay, so looking,
I've heard really good things about Haley Johnson so far from girls basketball. Parents like her, coaches like her, kids like her.
yeah, is she a former student or what, like, where did she come from? Or is she one of our teachers or?
I do not have Haley's background.
She's an English teacher at the high school.
Okay,
As far was Haley from Elkhorn originally?
Oh, that I don't know, sorry.
okay, just, yeah. I'm always interested to find out where we're getting our coaches from. Okay. All right, well, need a motion to approve the personnel recommendation sheet.
I'll move to approve the personal recommendation sheet for November 13th, 2023, including new employment contracts conditioned upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel recommendation sheet for November 13th, 2023, including new employment contracts conditioned upon passing the background check and district mandated drug screening. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre?
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow?
Yes.
Mr. Barkus?
Yes.
Mr. Forster?
Yes.
All right, school gifts.
All right, we have a number of school gifts this evening. The Kunas Auto Group is donating $3,000 towards the purchase of a vehicle to provide transition services to special education students. The Elkhorn Lions Club has donated iPads to the special education department, donated $500. Books to the 4K program, both valued at $300 and $500 to the district empowerment fund. Chad Barrett has donated 3D printer to the Elkhorn Area High School valued at $1,000. And Andrea Lazzaroni has donated a trumpet to the 5th grade band program valued at $300. And Elkhorn Culvers has donated $6,404.25 to Elkhorn Area High School. I believe that was the
That was from
tribute to Mr.
Mr.
Wolf.
Wolf.
Per day, they donate 25%, I believe, of their gross
They
revenues
did.
that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was packed.
Well, huge thanks to all of those organizations. Just need a motion to accept the gifts.
Please.
I move to accept the generous school gifts as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the generous school gifts as presented. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Back to you, Mr. Truon, with the financial audit and management.
Our auditors, Riley, Penner, and Benson, have completed the annual audit process for the school district, so they put together the 70-page audit report each year. Their process, to give you a sense here, they come in May. There's usually 3 auditors that are in this room. They spend a couple of days here, and then they come back in July and spend about a week. And as part of the process, obviously, they go through a lot of financial information. They interview employees, and they confirm a lot of different information and kind of observe how we operate within a school district and a business. So that's really their whole process. So the report itself is probably broken down to a number of different sections. The first one is what they call management discussion and analysis. That section of the audit report is actually put together by the district. So I put that together, and that's a recommendation from the Government Accounting Standards Board that the organization put a front end section to the audit report. So once the audit numbers are all done, I put that together as part of the front end. Then what follows that are like the financial statements. And one of the changes a number of years ago is they put together kind of a combination of kind of all the monies relative to revenues and expenses, and then compare that for multiple years. So traditionally, we're used to seeing everything within a fund, you know, a silo, operations, debt service, all, and they put that all together to get kind of a context of what the overall organization's financial situation is. With that method, the one thing I can kind of skew things, if you have a construction project or a major capital project, that will kind of skew those because you're looking at everything combined together. So I like to look at more of the traditional fund accounting. And I think on page 18, you'll see kind of the revenues and expenses by fund. And that's kind of gives, I think, a better indication of how we're doing as a school district. Operationally, you know, our operating budget, we end up in the positive, just over about $1 million. The other funds, I think, were all positive as well. So I guess our overall financial strength probably improved a little bit. Then there's a section that deals with what we call footnotes. And if you like to that kind of detail, you can kind of read through it's more of a narrative. And then there's supplement information at the end. So that's kind of what's included in the overall audit report. There's a section that compares our OPEB liability and how that's changed. I think on page, I think it might be page 50 that kind of highlights that. And you can kind of see it goes back to 2017 to 2023, and it gives you a better sense, I think, of how the that obligation and that liability's been reduced over time. So I think back in, yeah, that's page. I think if you scroll a little more, you'll get a percentage of the liability to payroll. And I think in 2017, it was like 30%. And today it's 3.8. So it's headed in the direction. Yeah. So, and then following that, there's some supplement information, includes some information on some of our other funds They also do what's called a single audit, so they do more of a detailed analysis of different federal and state programs, and they have recommendations pertaining to those. So that's part of their report process. And that's the financials. And then you have a management letter. And typically they make some recommendations. I think they had one recommendation this year. Sometimes reports will have 2 or 3 or 4. A typical recommendation is related to what they call internal controls and segregation of duties. For a lot of school districts, if you don't have a large staff, they will identify that as potential accounting weakness, because in a perfect world, you'd have more people doing this segregation.
They want us to hire more people.
Yeah, it looks good, and from an accounting standpoint, it just may not be practical. Right. Is really what it comes down to. So, so once the reports are done, and the reason I'm sharing with them today, we need to get what's called the legal representation letter. They'll be coming in this week. I could see a need to wait on these reports, or really just get them to the school board since they're completed. All the numbers, nothing will change other than taking off that statement. And then once they're accepted by the board, we send a copy to the Department of Public Instruction. I always post our financials on our website, so they're accessible by the public. And there's a federal clearinghouse, and then Moody's will request a copy. We need to do a report to a portal through the Security Exchange Commission, because we have long-term debt, and we need to do that. And then every once in a while, some of the lenders who have purchased our bonds will request updated financials. So, and usually I always try to kind of push our auditors to get this report done in November, because in October, you're finishing up the current year budget. November, you're kind of approving the previous year audit. And in December, I'll be bringing a budget calendar for 24-25 budget year. So, which is kind of scary, but. So any other questions? You know, a lot of the information is, I don't want to say it. It's good information, but you know, back in the day, I think the report used to be about 20 pages, now it's 70. So it's all good information.
Can't sleep, start reading this and.
So on the corrective actions, all of those have been completed?
All of them have been worked on or completed, yep. And I had to do a response on those. I think the key thing with those is looking from year to year as a board member, you know, are you seeing the same things in there 5 years from now?
Right.
You know, there was one, I think, dealing with appraisals.
Yes.
And doing our fixed assets. We don't see that in the report anymore because we took care of that. So I always look at the process, you know, if we can do things better, if we can, you know, safeguard our district's assets, you know, we want to know that. I want to know that. So I don't have a problem with recommendations from the auditors, because we can always improve. That's kind of how I look at it. So, and if you want a hard copy, I will get some hard copies of the report so I can share that with anyone who wants a hard copy.
You didn't print one out yet? It's all good now. Okay. Jody's very happy I didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
I just want to thank Bill and his staff
Yes.
for
That's-
continuing to
Audits is
stay on
so
top
much
of
work.
that. And yeah, I think it was a very big accomplishment to be in the black last year. We were
Yeah.
anticipating needing to go into fund balance to balance the budget. So
Yeah.
that gave us another year in that forecasting out. So that's
Right.
it.
Okay, do we need to do anything with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we do. Okay, so we're looking for a motion.
Move to accept the 2022-2023 financial audit and management letter as presented.
Is there a second?
Go ahead. Second.
So moved and seconded to accept the 2022-2023 financial audit and management letter as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre?
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow?
Yes.
Mr. Barkus?
Yes.
Mr. Forster?
Yes.
Okay. We have a second reading of several revised policies. We looked at these last meeting. Did you receive any additional?
Did not receive any additional feedback from the last meeting. If they should be ready for the final approval, unless there's any of them that you want to review.
Does anybody want to review any of the things? Nothing's changed since last time, so.
No.
Okay, so I just need a motion to approve.
We're doing one by one.
Nope, you can do it all as, just read each. It's in the same motion there.
Okay, perfect. I move to approve revised policies, 113 anti-racism, 345.61 early graduation, and 533 hiring procedures, and to delete policy 345.61 rural early graduation procedures as presented. Is it modified? Did we modify since we're changing? No, it's because because it's already written out as presented.
Combining.
As
the-
presented.
yeah, as presented.
Yeah.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve revised policies 113 anti-racism, 345.61 early graduation, and 533 hiring procedures, and to delete policy 345.61 rural early graduation procedures as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre?
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart?
Yes.
Mr. Gatton?
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow?
Yes.
Mr. Barkus?
Yes.
Mr. Forster?
Yes.
All right. I just have a couple of announcements tonight. There's a note on your board notes that the incumbents for this year's election cycle are Julia Ingersoll, Devin Gatton, and Kathy Kostock. It's always a good idea to declare publicly if you plan to run for re-election. There's not a specific requirement or timeline, but this is usually the season as we start receiving the materials for those interested in running. Any Elkhorn resident who's interested in running for the school board should contact Jody Esman in the district office for a packet of materials. Just to be clear, it is only open to school district residents. Open enrolled parents cannot serve on the school board. You have to be a district resident. And then there is a hyperlink in there with not a lot of detail. I know we have 3 new school board members and happy to answer any questions or discuss that in further detail. But for the superintendent evaluation, it's that time of year again, and we've used this Google form to give you an opportunity to go through and rate my performance as you see in those categories or those areas. If there's anything you would like to discuss on any of those, I'm happy to sit down and talk or answer any questions. At the end of the Google form is also open-ended response opportunities to give feedback there. The process for that is Jody will gather that, put that into the Excel file, and then there'll be a future board meeting, closed session where you can all go through it together, discuss it, and then usually I meet with the board president or I can meet with the board as a whole and receive your excellent feedback.
When do we need to complete that?
Yeah.
By January, if
So you want us to fill out the evaluation here?
you don't need to, yes, that hyperlink,
Yeah,
I'm looking at from the board schedule and so forth that we have, it probably makes sense to, unless you want to fast track and do it in November, probably makes sense to schedule in January
Okay,
for discussion or review, so that's what we
Okay,
need to be.
so let's say,
But it's entirely up to you.
December 15th.
Yeah.
Completed by December 15th.
yeah, yeah.
I already did it.
Good.
I just have a complaint
Takes
about
2
the
minutes.
food at curriculum retreats.
That's why we have the open-ended response
I
there.
wanted it in writing. And it's a formal complaint. Have you done your math?
All right.
No,
I turned my
have not
biography
done my
in.
biography, yeah.
I already
That's all
turned that in.
that's all we have.
You reminded me and I got it done.
Okay, so we do need to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
and,
Thanks, new board member.
and, we do need a roll call vote to adjourn.
All right.
All right,
This-
shall we? Or, oh,
You
no,
don't.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great.